What's your "you messed with the wrong person" story? Story 1. My dad managed multiple construction sites. Once, while he was at a site in Pereira, Colombia, the Pereira soccer team was jogging by on the street in front of the building, one of the top teams in the National Soccer League. One of my dad's workers called out from an upper story of the building, making fun of the team and especially the coach who was lagging. So the soccer team turned around and came into the building site. They could not find the guy who had yelled at them, but they found an old man, also one of my dad's workers, and started to beat him up. But my dad had seen them rushing in and rushing to the room where they cornered the old man. So he followed them, and when he saw them hitting the old man, he yelled at them. They came at my dad, top world-class athletes. He backed up to a door, so they could only come at him one at a time. As they came through, he would grab them by the shirt with his left, punch them out with his right, and toss them to the side. By the end of it, they were all either unconscious or sitting on the ground nursing nasty headaches. My dad was untouched. The story was all over the papers the next day. I was too little, but I eventually heard of it through my brothers. Once, when I was retelling it in front of my mom, I said that it had been 5 guys. My mom corrected me and said it was 11. Sometime later, I was telling the story and my dad was there. He sat there looking annoyed as he always did when the story came up. When I got to the end, I turned to my dad and said, I had heard 5, but mom says 11. How many was it? Still looking a little annoyed, he said with a gruff, I don't know. I was too busy to count them. I could tell so many stories about the time a gang surrounded him and one pulled a knife on him and he chased them off, or the time I saw him squat by a tree, hug it, and then pull it up, uprooting a freaking tree at least a foot in diameter. Or about the time he jumped down into a collapsing, multi-story ditch to save one of his workers who had been buried. Or the times that teams of engineers working on major national projects came to our house to get my dad's opinion or advice about their projects because in spite of his 3rd grade education, he was considered one of the masters of construction science in Colombia. Or about, well, too many to even recount headlines. The point is that the right combination of massive strength, absolute fearlessness, and genius-level intelligence can be almost superhuman. Those soccer players just saw a dirty construction worker who was small, 5'4" or so, and thin, wiry if they had paid attention. They did not know they were definitely messing with the wrong guy. Story 2. I turned out to be that wrong person. I'll start by saying I'm usually fairly easygoing. I am good at customer service, and I've never really had a bad temper. But when I do get angry, I don't explode, yell, or throw things. Usually, I go calm and silent. While my brain is in the process of coldly calculating the best way to make someone seriously regret making me angry. My sister says it's very scary. I was picked on for most of my childhood. I was that shy kid who tried to be nice but ended up with no friends and was at the bottom of the pecking order. I didn't get beat up. I'm a girl, so they were less likely to do that. But sometimes people shoved me and said a lot of mean verbal stuff, that kind of thing. Well, come 8th grade, a switch flipped, and it flipped in the middle of band practice. I played the trombone and I hated the guy I sat next to. Typical a-hole I dealt with my whole life. I don't remember what he did, but it was a typical pick on the shy girl type of thing, and it was like my entire being just went, okay, enough of this. When it was time to go, everyone packed up their instruments. I took my trombone apart, put it into the case, shut the case, then stood up, turned, and swung the case as hard as I could into his face. For those who don't know, a trombone case isn't a box. It's shaped like the instrument, and based on its shape and the location of the handle, gives you a good swing. There was blood everywhere. and all the other kids were screaming. Not sure why, they weren't hurt. I calmly put my case in the instrument closet and walked down to the office, because I knew I was going to end up there anyway. I got suspended and had to see a counselor before I could come back. He got a broken nose and one of his front teeth shattered. Things were different after that. I just one day decided, I've had enough of this. So I started reacting instead of the ignore them and they will stop BS people always tell you to do. Whenever I got picked on, I simply responded swiftly and violently. I'm no powerhouse by any means, but I am vicious. I hit a girl with a chair, kicked a guy in the groin, and continued kicking him until I was pulled off, and beat the crap out of a few younger boys who were picking on my little sister. That was all in 8th grade, and no, I wasn't in some kind of rage and just lashing out. My thought process was, they are going to know that messing with me is neither safe nor painless. And it worked. People thought I was psycho, but I was okay with that. They left me alone and I stopped suffering severe anxiety about going to school every morning. Was it the best way to deal with those things? Maybe not. Was the violence a little much in response to some of it? Probably. But it was effective and I don't regret it in the slightest. Story 3. Right now I'm 14, but this story probably takes place when I was 12. At my school there's no bullying, but there still are a lot of jerks. So kids sometimes fight at the top of a hill across the park. It's technically not on school grounds, which is why people fight there. So this one kid, who I never liked and still don't like, named Carl, walks up to me and challenges me to a fight. Now, I definitely don't look like the strong type, and I don't look like I would be able to fight. But what not many people knew about me was that I had done 7 years of boxing, so I could fight and was strong. Knowing that I would destroy him, I just didn't respond. Fast forward to the end of the school day, I'm walking home and see a circle of kids at the top of the hill and think to myself, I could go over there right now and destroy him. But I knew it would just end badly, so I didn't. The next day came around. I go to school and a lot of people are staring at me. Then, this one girl came up to me and asked, Hey, did you fight Carl? No. Why? He's saying that you chickened out and never showed up. So I go up to Carl and ask him, Are you telling people that I chickened out of the fight? Yes, because you did. No, I never agreed to it. Whatever, you're just scared. At this point, I was very frustrated, and the thought crossed my mind. I decided to act on it, knowing that it was a bad idea, but someone needed to teach him a lesson, because he always did stuff like this. So I said, You know what? How about we fight after school? Yeah, sure, I'll destroy you. So the end of the school day arrives. I told my parents that I had to take a quiz, so they wouldn't find out. I go to the hill and a ton of people are there. We're in the center and he says, Are you ready to be humiliated? And I said, Yeah, we'll see. And I cracked my knuckles. I know, it's very cringe. So I'm in my stance and I'm getting ready to fight. And he clearly has no idea what he's doing. So he throws the first punch, a huge hook, and I ducked under it, and boom, he's dazed and confused from getting a fist in the face. And at this point, I'm just letting out my pent-up anger and pounding my fists into his face. I'm landing punches and kicks, and eventually I Sparta kick him down the hill. It wasn't that steep, like a 35-degree slope. Everybody is shocked and is either staring at him tumbling down the hill or at me. So I walk to the other side of the hill, grab my backpack, and just walk away. Let's just say my friends were very impressed. Eventually my parents did find out, but it was worth it. It was a Friday, and when I saw him on Monday, he had tons of bruises and I didn't, and still don't feel bad at all. To this day, he never talks to me, and whenever I walk by him, I swear he flinches. Story 4. Not super exciting, but like, the first week of middle school, I'm on the bus, and the kid I'm kind of friends with is getting picked on by some other kid and his friend. I tell them to leave my friend alone, and the main a-hole gets really quiet and just stares at me. His friend is like, "Oh no, man, stay out of it. You don't want to make him mad." My big, tough 13-year-old response was, "You don't want to make me mad." I thought it sounded cool. The main a-hole lunges at me, not to hit me, just to get me to flinch. I didn't react at all. Just stared the kid down. He just quietly turns away to face forward. His friend shuts up. My friend thanks me and they never bother him again. What they don't know is my reaction time was so bad, I didn't realize what he did until about a second or two after it happened. But I accidentally looked like I wasn't afraid. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.